Warning: the following episode contains elements of horror that may be unsuitable for listeners under the age of 13. Listener discretion is advised. Hello. We've been expecting you. I'm Brianna, and welcome to Beyond the Bazaar's 13 Nights of Frights. From October 19th through October 31st, Halloween night, we will be sharing with you some of our favorite hand-picked urban legends, lore, stories, and more that we love to talk about during this special time of year. So take a seat, make yourself comfortable for these 13 nights of terror. Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Bazaar. I'm Brianna, and this is our 13 Nights of Frights, night 12. So we have one more night after tonight of our 13 Nights of Frights, and we've really enjoyed sharing all of our favorites with you guys these last couple of weeks here. So we want to thank you guys for listening and tuning in with us and joining us as we shared our favorites with you guys. So yesterday we talked about the superstition and lore behind black cats, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I forgot to mention yesterday that I actually did find a short story by Edgar Allan Poe called The Black Cat, that I'm actually going to post on our website for you guys to check out. I would have shared it on the podcast, but sometimes I think especially with Poe, it's better to kind of read it and to kind of submerge yourself in it on your own. At least that's how it works best for me, because you can just kind of visualize, and I just think his work works best that way, in my opinion. But we will share that on our website, www.beyondthebazaar.com, for you guys to check out. Once again, it's called The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe, and it really is a good read. So on tonight's episode, on our 12th night of our 13 Nights of Frights, we're going to talk about another element of Halloween tradition, the jack-o'-lantern. So tonight we're going to get into the history of the jack-o'-lantern and just share some of our thoughts on it, as we usually do. So with that being said, let's get into the history and origins of the jack-o'-lantern. So the jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish myth of a man called Stingy Jack. And this is how the lore goes. Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, being stingy. So he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that can be used to buy his drinks. Once the devil obliged and did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it into his pocket next to a silver cross. This silver cross prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. Eventually, Jack did free the devil, but only under one condition: that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that when he dies, he cannot claim his soul. That following year, once again, Jack tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross in the tree's bark so that the devil could not come down, until he promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. Soon after, Jack died. And according to legend, God would not allow such an unsavory figure into the gates of heaven. The devil, upset by the trick that Jack had played to him all those years, kept his word on not claiming his soul and would not allow Jack into hell. He sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack took the coal and put it in a carved out turnip and has been cursed to roam the earth ever since. This is where the term Jack of the Lantern comes from. The Irish began to refer to the ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then it eventually shortened to Jack-o'-lantern. As the lore spread, in Ireland and Scotland, people will make their own version of Jack's lantern. They would take their turnips or potatoes and carve scary faces. In England, they would do the same, but just with large beets. They would place these turnips, potatoes, and beets in their windows or near doors to scare away stingy Jack and other evil spirits. When the English, Scottish, and Irish immigrants came to America, they brought the jack-o'-lantern tradition along with them. However, with the pumpkin being native to America, the immigrants found that it made the best jack-o'-lanterns, and that legend and lore and tradition has lived up to today. So on this Halloween night, be sure to carve yourself a jack-o'-lantern and put it in a window or near a door to keep old stingy Jack at bay, or those who are like him, or worse. Now, the legend or lore of Stingy Jack is a really cool one. Like I said, you grow up knowing what jack-o'-lanterns are and kind of just knowing that they're synonymous with Halloween, but not really knowing why. It's really awesome to kind of learn that it's tied to a whole piece of legend here in lore, and it's really, really interesting. The first thing that kind of struck me is the contrast between the jack-o'-lantern in the old Samhain traditions that we had mentioned in our Halloween summoning ritual episode, about how the candle is meant to, the light of the candle draws the spirit of loved ones in, or other things, whereas with the jack-o'-lanterns, lighting the jack-o'-lantern is meant to scare off Stingy Jack or other evil spirits like him. So that's really cool. So I think the light does draw them, but having the scary face on the jack-o'-lantern is kind of what scares them away from your home or residence. So is that to say that jack-o'-lanterns aren't scary or ineffective? That's a question that you could ask yourself, because I know some people do prefer to carve friendly face jack-o'-lanterns, especially those with children. So, I understand the nature behind that, but will it keep you safe? I don't think so. And as for irony, the obvious ironic part of the tale of Stingy Jack is he spent his life manipulating a dark figure such as the devil. He manipulated up to the point of his death, and then at the end, the devil was true to his word by saying, well, I'm not going to collect your soul as I promised you I wouldn't, so you can't come here. And then he wasn't allowed in the gates of heaven due to the actions that he had taken in life. So now he's just kind of doomed to wander around for eternity, I guess, which is why the tradition of the jack-o'-lantern has just kind of just stuck through all of this time. So it's kind of like a last laugh situation. Like Sinji Jack may have gotten over the devil in life, but at the end, he kind of had the last laugh and was bitter about the tricks that Jack had played on him just to save a few extra bucks and to just kind of be swindling, I guess. But jack o' lanterns have come a long way over the years. Like I said, back in the early days, they were mostly scary faces to ward off evil spirits and just kind of be just a piece of protection, whereas now it's just kind of like a fun activity. I'm pretty sure some people still use it for the protective methods that it's said to have, but some people kind of use it as just a hobby during the fall season. There's people who actually carve whole templates, whole pictures on them. There's Halloween wars where people actually make extraordinary things out of jack-o'-lanterns, out of pumpkins, and just a lot of talent that just comes from just that little piece of lore. It's just created this one big web of endless possibilities. Another cool thing about jack-o'-lantern is that it's also had an influence in literature. For example, the Headless Horseman has a jack-o'-lantern for a head, which is very, very interesting. If those of you who are not familiar with the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman is said to be the spirit of a soldier who lost his head during the Revolutionary War due to a cannonball attack. Now, I don't know about you, but that is a bad way to go. But the fact that the jack-o'-lantern is the substitute for his head makes it the perfect tale for Halloween, makes it the perfect tale for this time of year. That tale of the Headless Horseman. And now that I think about it, I actually do remember kind of my own personal, I don't want to say encounter, so I'm going to say story. Not with the Headless Horseman, not with Sinji Jack, but with jack-o'-lanterns. When I was younger, I had went to a slumber party, sleepover, whatever you want to call it. And we had carved out like the little baker's pumpkins, like the little mini pumpkins. We had carved those out, and I've always sucked at carving pumpkins, but I did to the best of my ability. I carved out a little scary face on it, and back then we didn't have like the little flameless tea lights like we have now. We actually had the ones that had to be lit. So my friend's mom had came down and lit the candles, and we had put them by the downstairs French doors. We had put them by there, and we had put them. Well, we put them outside. I should say we put them outside the door, and we also put them like outside of the windows. And the mom, I guess, was really into the theatrics. She said, "Okay, everyone, be quiet. Everyone, settle down." So we're all just like having fun at first. Then she tells everyone to be quiet. You hear that, and of course we're listening, but we're not hearing anything. And she runs and turns off the light and tells us all to turn off all the lights, and we're all sitting there in the dark, but nothing but the jack-o'-lanterns from outside illuminating in. And that's when she told us that that the spirits are passing through. We have to turn off all the lights because lights attract them, but the scary jack-o'-lanterns will keep them away. And I remember being terrified out of my mind because I'm like, here I am away from my parents in a house where a woman's telling me that the spirits are coming, and I'm just like, no. Because at this point, like I said, I've watched scary movies since I was very young, since I was 5. It was the first movie I saw, so I was kind of familiar with what was scary and what was. I was pretty much, I knew what was going on. I knew what I was being told was not a good thing. So I'm there freaking out on the inside, but trying not to show it because I didn't want to be that person. But I want to say like about 5-10 minutes passed, and she turned on all the lights and was just like, okay, they're past. Now we can continue, the night, and we can go watch a movie. But even then, like I still was kind of uneasy about it. Like, even though I know she was just trying to get us all in the mood, I was just still kind of uneasy about it. And even then, like, when we all went to bed that night, and usually when I was younger, I needed some type of light in the room. Like I didn't like dark rooms. So I'm like, turn off all the lights, but I don't want anything to find this. And I even took one of the jack-o'-lanterns from outside and brought it in. Even though it wasn't lit, I just still kept it like by where I was sleeping just to keep me safe. So that just goes to show how tradition and stories like that can just stick with you. Because I remember when I was researching this, when I saw the origins that it comes from Stingy Jack, I kind of unlocked that memory because I actually forgot about it up until researching for this episode. So this kind of unlocked the memory for me that I forgot I had. So that's really cool. And to be honest, doing this whole 13 Nights of Frights, and not even the 13 Nights of Frights, just this whole podcast period has just been really great experience for us here. Like, it's unlocked a lot of memories that I forgot I had, like I said, and just being able to share our interest and our thoughts on our favorite topics and just things that we find out here in this world is just great. And I'm glad to be able to share that with you guys, and that you guys come back, week after week, and at this time, day after day, and listen with us. We are really grateful for you guys, and just excited to be doing this, and happy to be doing this, every week for you guys. And this experience has just been very amazing. I know I'm sounding like this is final, like we're not coming, like this is like the last episode or whatnot, but tomorrow is the last episode of our 13 Nights of Fright. And not only is it our last episode of our 13 Nights of Frights, but it's also our last episode of the first season of Beyond the Bizarre. We're going to take a much needed break, but we will be back, and we'll make a separate announcement on our return date. But tomorrow is our last episode of our season 1. Like I said, it's just been unreal. We've gotten a lot of support, and just knowing that, that you guys are enjoying what we're doing, it just makes it worth the while. Not worth the while, worthwhile. Sorry about that. But, just makes it worthwhile, what we're doing, to know that you guys are enjoying that. But tomorrow will be our season finale. And of course, tomorrow is Halloween. So tomorrow we'll be talking about none other than trick-or-treating. Now, I was going to do the history of Halloween, and I may touch on it, but we're going to get into trick-or-treating, where it comes from, because I'm feeling a bit nostalgic, so I'm going to take it back to my childhood when things were simple. So we'll take it there and just share a little bit of our thoughts about that. So don't forget to come back for that tomorrow. Once again, topic is trick-or-treating, last night of our 13 Nights of Frights, last episode of our season 1 of Beyond the Bizarre, but we will be back soon with a season 2 date, so don't miss that. Until then, and as always, stay bizarre.